I've got home in glory land and outshines the sun. I've got home in glory land and outshines the sun. I've got home in glory land and outshines the sun. Look away beyond the blue. To Lord, oh to Lord, oh to remember me. To Lord, oh to Lord, oh to remember me. To Lord, oh to Lord, oh to remember me. Look away beyond the blue. When the sun is gonna go away, the road is gonna go. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. When the saints go marching
My history with the church starts about in 1960, 61. And the reason I got involved was because my son was in kindergarten and he happened to have a teacher named Margaret Stroud who sang in the Vicksburg choir. And he got up and announced that his mother played the organ and piano. And the next thing I knew, Jim was always telling stories. The next thing I knew, the minister, Lloyd Schloop, called on the phone and then came out to see me, and Marge Fleek was the choir director. And Clarabelle Carvel was the organist for like 25 years here. And her husband moved to Battle Creek, so they were in need of an organist. So that was how I happened to come upon the scene. And I came here, and I've been here ever since.
And I can carry on from there
Okay.
because Clarabelle Carvel was a substitute teacher when I was at Toby School. I was in the 6th grade, and we were doing some kind of a little musical thing, and she said, "You can play this, why don't you play the piano and I can direct?" So I started playing that as well as I could, and she said, "Okay, you're going to take organ lessons this summer." And I said, "I am, okay." So I took one summer of organ lessons, and she had me playing for church for the early service when I went into the 7th grade, and that would have been about 56 maybe.
Yeah, well, we all know Clarabelle Carvel.
Yes.
And you know, as I recall, choir was at 7:30 when I started. It's always been on Wednesday night, though. Choir's always been Wednesday. And I think they had it earlier because they were farmers and couldn't get in at 7 o'clock. That was a little too early, so.
That could be, but my understanding was also that Bill Taylor, the Taylor room is named for him down in the church here, and he was the superintendent of schools, and he set Wednesday nights aside specifically, and they called it church night, and that's why all of the choirs and everything, the little kids would come in like right after school and sing, and then there was also a high school choir at one time.
Yep.
Yes.
And then we were always here at 7, and that was a big social
Yes.
gathering on Wednesday night for choir because lots of husbands and wives sang in the choir, and I've got a lot of those names if anybody's interested.
Go ahead.
Do you remember, well, everybody remembers Bob and Betty Bressman,
Oh, yes.
and Amber and Bud Shira,
Oh, yes.
Dio and Levon Beal,
Yep.
Marge and Ray Valik, Gus and Dorothy Urkla, and let's see, Eunice and Thurlow King, remember them? Bonnie and Gordon Oswald, and of course Marge and Ray Valik. And
Didn't
when
the
I
Tolhuisens, weren't they in
Oh,
it?
Jim and Mary
Jim and Mary
Tolhuisen, yes,
Tolhuisen?
she always was the angel at Christmas time.
John
She
McDonald.
sang the angel solo.
And Claude Good.
Yeah, Claude and
Yeah,
Barbara
then-
Good.
And then Claude took the youth choir.
Yes.
Yes, he did, yeah. So
We
funny.
used to get one Sunday a month off
Yep,
because we had the high school choir and also a children's choir.
Now, if you can picture this, this choir loft held 40 people at least. And lots of times, there was a row up in front with 2 or 3 chairs on either side, and she called that the naughty row. And people that talked a lot while she was rehearsing would have to sit in the naughty row.
And we can't let choir go by without telling about Marge. And she used to get so warm when she directed, you know, and she'd have to go take her blouse off underneath the choir robe.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And we had rules too. She didn't want any of the choir members to wear earrings. Do you remember that?
All right.
No, no earrings.
Yeah, maybe people would be interested to know that we started out with strictly black robes. And
Yes,
they said
black
no
robes.
jewelry, and then after many, many years, those were looking a little threadbare, and then we got gold robes
Yeah.
with brown stoles, and had those for quite a few
Yeah.
years, and then we had the
nice-
mauve robes with the burgundy stoles,
Mm-hmm.
and now we still have them. We don't wear them most of the time, but we now have some red scarves, and the guys have ties when we do special things, so we kind of have a little bit of a uniform look to it. But let's see. Oh, another thing that was kind of funny. And Cameron, if the guys didn't like one of the songs, a new song that was being introduced and so forth, pretty soon you'd see the collection plate go by, and she would look the director and be like, "What's that about?" And they said, "Well, we're going to take up a collection so you can buy some new music." Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
It was funny. It really was. Let's see, what else do we have here?
Well, after
Oh,
the choir-
another funny thing too. John McDonald was in the choir, and at that time, that was way back when Sea Hunt with was it Lloyd Douglas or
Lloyd Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges? That's right. And at 5 minutes to 8, he lived over on Park Street, and he walked always to choir. But at 5 minutes to 8, he'd jump right up and leap. And when nobody ever knew why at first, and then one time the director said, "Where are you going, John?" "Well, I've got to get home to watch Sea Hunt," he said. So after that, if we were going to learn something new, she'd kind of stop, and that was over with by 5 to 8. It was kind of funny. Let's see,
It's
what
on the white
else?
front sometimes.
Oh, yes, and then we go right next, there was a little restaurant right out here where our parking lot is now in the front called the White Front, and we'd go over and have coffee and
Hot
carry on a
chocolate.
little bit, and hot chocolate or whatever after choir. It was quite the social night. Yeah. Tammy, what would you like to say about our choir?
Tammy, how long have you been here?
Since 2006.
2006.
That
long?
Yeah,
Wow. And when you hear about these huge choirs that filled this, does it just make you just want to have some of that?
Yes, definitely. Wow. It's amazing.
Times they have changed.
Yeah.
There wasn't that much going on back then. We could have a night.
Yeah,
We could do
right.
that. Yeah.
Well, it was back in the day when Wednesday was church night.
Yes.
Yeah.
and You didn't have other conflicts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I will say, for your smaller choir, you do an amazing job. I'm amazed every Sunday.
Thank you.
I
Lots
am.
of prayers.
So
right?
am I. Yeah. Really.
Okay. No, we've got some good voices.
And you talked about Marge.
Yeah, we talked.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, at one time too, we had, we had Lyle Bartlett, and of course, when he passed away.
Right.
Then we had Cinda Kramer for a while.
Yeah.
Dorrance, it was a short time, but we also had a young man who was part of the Gold Company. Well, it's what's now Gold Company, but he was a vocal jazz
I remember
student.
that too.
And we had him for like spring semester or something like that. And when we had him, remember that he would make us process down the center aisle when people were upset
You know,
about
I
that?
don't really remember.
I
that.
do
I
remember
that
that.
one of them brought cheesecake for our
I still have I still have his recipe. Yeah, he and his little wife.
Yes. Yeah.
What was his name, Jim?
Jim.
Somebody?
It was Jim. I don't know. I can't remember the name, but it was.
So Barb and Carla, between
Oh, yeah,
how
the
long
two of
have
us
you
have
been
been
playing? How long have you two been
partners.
playing?
How long have we been playing together?
I don't know. Let's look at our music.
Yeah.
Since 1859. I really don't know because I
We're
sang
starting this at 1870.
No, we're starting in 1956. That's when I joined the choir.
So
Yeah.
we got the piano over there,
And
When
you
did
know,
the
I don't
organ
remember-
come to
What
be?
did we have before that piano?
Just
I don't
an
remember.
upright- I think you just had an upright black piano.
I don't
upright.
remember a piano over there.
Barb, how long have we had the organ?
Well, that is not the original. They had the Hammond organ, and then it was the time when Marge was the choir director.
And Wally
Yeah.
called people and
And then they
solicited
put
funds.
speakers over there, which she's practically deaf because it,
My organ was in them turned on tonight, and I thought,
oh, good, because it was sounding loud. She gets the music, so. We haven't quite gotten the earphones where we can say, start. You know, just
That's
say, I'll
coming
play
next.
2 measures first, and then I'll come in.
Yeah.
So we kind of got it together.
Well, they really have it together.
We have a good time.